Published 15:01 EDT, the 16th of October 2017. Updated 12:05 EDT, the 17th of October 2017. Hurricane Ophelia is sweeping havoc across Britain today as it brings wind gusts of more than 75 miles per hour to England and Scotland, blocks train lines with downed trees and threatens further power cuts. 3 people died in Ireland yesterday as it was hit by hurricane-force winds and 330,000 people were left without power overnight, while roofs were ripped off buildings and flights were forced to turn around. Scotland has faced 77 miles per hour gusts and parts of its west coast are under flood warnings, while in England several trees were blocking the train line between Halifax and Bradford Interchange in West Yorkshire. There was a further report of a landslip on the line and commuters were warned poor road conditions could hit rail replacement services. Virgin Train said a tree blocking the railway at Lockerbie was also causing disruption. In addition, trains could not run between Manchester Airport and Wilmslow Station in Cheshire after a tree fell on overhead electrical wires, and the Met Office warned of further problems to plane and ferry services today. High winds and foam from the sea make driving conditions difficult in Cleveleys, Lancashire, with one car covered today. Zara the Sprocker dog runs through the seafront foam on the Blackpool Promenade in Lancashire this morning. High winds and foam spraying from the sea making driving conditions difficult in Cleveleys, Lancashire. This morning, drivers have trouble making their way along Cleveleys in Lancashire as foam from the sea sprays over onto the promenade. Strong winds gusts hitting South Wales have created huge waves, including this one in the Pembrokeshire town of Dale. An HGV became a victim of the gale force winds today as it toppled over on the M6 in Cumbria this morning. The accident involving the HGV this morning happened on the M6 between Hackthorpe and Shap in Cumbria. Rail services between Edinburgh and Aberdeen, Dundee, Fife and Perth have been suspended after a freight train is thought to have hit a tree on the line near Markinch. Disruption is expected until midday, ScoTrail said. Services have also been hit between Glasgow and Edinburgh due to a branch hitting overhead lines in Bells Hill. Meanwhile, schools on both sides of the Irish border will remain closed for a second day as authorities begin to assess the damage. Ireland saw winds of up to 119 miles per hour damaging electricity networks and causing disruption. Chuck Watson, a disaster modeler at Enki Research in Savannah, Georgia, told Bloomberg that damages from Hurricane Ophelia in Ireland could reach £1.4 billion. High wind speeds over northern Scotland are seen this morning left, and a Met Office weather warning is displayed right. Rail workers with a chainsaw clear trees from the tracks near Markinch, Fife, where a freight train hit a tree during Ophelia. Vehicles make their way through flooding in Glasgow as Scotland is hit by the tail end of Hurricane Ophelia this morning. Cars and vans splash through flooding in Glasgow as the Met Office warned of difficult conditions on the roads today. An emergency power crew work on a fallen electricity pole in Doag, Ballyclare, after Ophelia battered Northern Ireland today. The Met Office reduced the area covered by a yellow weather warning, but said a spell of very windy weather is likely. The forecast added some damage to buildings, such as tiles blown from roofs, could happen. September 12-13, 2011 Hurricane Katia kills 1 as winds up to 81 miles per hour and giant waves cause transport chaos and topple building roofs and trees. October 28-29, 1996 Hurricane Lily kills 5 people as winds of up to 90 miles per hour cause £150 million of damage. October 15-16, 1987 Southern England's Great Storm kills 18 people as 115 miles per hour winds uproot 15 million trees. September 16, 1961 Hurricane Debbie's 112 miles per hour winds kill 6 in Northern Ireland and 12 in the Republic of Ireland. January 31, February 1, 1953 huge winds and spring tides cause storm surge along East Coast. More than 300 die, including 133 on Princess Victoria Ferry near Belfast. October 14, 1881 Black Friday storm hits Berwickshire, Scotland, as almost 200 fishermen drown. November 26, 1703 Hurricane tears across East Anglia, obliterating villages and killing between 8,000 and 15,000. Known as worst storm in British history. Northern Ireland, southwest Scotland, northwest England, and northwest Wales are no longer covered by the warning, but southwest Scotland, parts of northeast England and Yorkshire are still subject to the warning. Forecaster Stephen Keats said commuters should expect very gusty conditions, with winds of up to 70 miles per hour. He said the strong winds will continue but should moderate a little bit compared to what we have seen. There's still a risk of gales and it's still strong enough to cause disruption, but a little bit down on what we have seen. Around 330,000 homes and business were still without power last night following the worst storm on record on the island of Ireland. Help from Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK is expected to be drafted in tomorrow to help restore power, ESB, the Republic of Ireland's electricity network, said. Police Scotland said a number of homes in Dumfries and Galloway have lost power, but all major roads in the region remain open despite fallen trees and branches disrupting some routes. Meanwhile, the roof of a scout hut in Castle Douglas was blown off and there have been reports of collapsed scaffolding in Dumfries. The force said at this time, "We have no reports of anyone being injured in the region." A number of homes in the region have remained without power overnight and efforts are underway to bring power back to those affected. In this regard, communities are asked to check on those who might be described as vulnerable neighbors and, where safe to do so, to check on their welfare. Winds are still strong across the region and again drivers are asked to drive to the conditions and prepare for the unexpected as they go along. Planes land at Leeds Bradford Airport in West Yorkshire today as parts of Britain are hit by the remnants of Hurricane Ophelia. A plane approaches the runway at Leeds Bradford Airport as parts of Britain continue to be hit by poor weather conditions. A motorist drives through floodwater from a raging Irish Sea on the Cumbrian coast this morning. A van drives through dangerous conditions on the coast of Cumbria this morning as waves are whipped up by Ophelia. A woman walks through the Irish Sea on the Cumbrian coast this morning amid bad weather conditions in northern England. The front of a block of flats has been brought down in high winds as Storm Ophelia sweeps across Scotland. The block on the south side of Glasgow, which was earmarked for partial demolition, came down at about 4 a.m. today as the storm passed over from Ireland. Glasgow City Council said an exclusion zone had already been put around the block due to the planned work and no one was injured in the collapse. The scene in Crosshill, in the south side of Glasgow, after the front of a block of flats, which are due for demolition, was brought down. The block in the south side of Glasgow came down at about 4 a.m. today as the storm passed over from Ireland. A spokesman for Glasgow City Council said the tenement in Albert Road housed private flats and had been empty for more than a year due to structural concerns around the windows. She said responsibility for repairing the property lies with the private owners, however the council had offered them financial assistance to help with the cost of repair. Stabilization works to the property and removal of the bay window areas were due to commence on site within the next 2 weeks following the appointment of a contractor by the owner's agent. Unfortunately, Storm Ophelia hit the city and there was a collapse. The exclusion zone did its job and contained the debris, and because we previously evacuated the building, no one was hurt. Glasgow City Council said the tenement in Albert Road housed private flats and had been empty for more than a year. Part of the roof of a standard National League team Barrow AFC has been ripped off by the wind. Police in the town warned people to avoid Wilkie Road, which runs behind the football club's Furnace Building Society Stadium, as the fire service assessed the damage. Last night, Cumbria police said gusts had reached up to 70 miles per hour in exposed coastal areas, with reports throughout the county of fallen trees, debris and roofs on the roads and damaged overhead cables. Cheshire Police tweeted that they dealt with 129 wind-related incidents between 2:15 p.m. and midnight on Monday, with many reports of trees down. More than 130 trees were cleared from roads on the Isle of Man. Ophelia brought down a large pine tree into a home in the Gwynedd market town of Dolgello in northwest Wales. Residents look at fallen trees that were blown down by Storm Ophelia onto a road in Ireland's southwest city of Cork today. A section of a roof blown away at Quarrybank High Street in the West Midlands after Storm Ophelia hit the UK last night. Bricks are pictured on the floor after a section of a house roof blown away in the West Midlands after Ophelia hit the UK. A dramatic sunrise over Charmouth in Dorset this morning as other parts of the UK experience bad weather conditions. Police spokesman Sergeant Alan Shimon said, "I am grateful to the public for heeding our advice regarding not making unnecessary journeys. This has allowed the police and our partners to manage the results of the adverse weather conditions as safely and efficiently as possible, and there have not been any reported injuries as a result." A cancer nurse, Claire O'Neill, a young father and the youngest of 11 siblings were identified as the 3 victims killed by Ophelia in Ireland, named, respectively, as Claire O'Neill, Fintan Goss, 33, and Michael Pike, 31. Mrs. O'Neill was killed when her car was struck head-on by a section of a tree near Aglish, in Co-Waterford. A branch smashed through the windscreen and it is believed that it struck her with full force straight in the chest. Stunned onlookers saw a twister in the sky during freak weather conditions over Catton near Lancaster yesterday afternoon. High winds caused the Derry Nate stand at Turner's Cross Stadium, home of Cork City Football Club, to collapse yesterday. The first of 3 people to die as a result of yesterday's devastating weather conditions was cancer nurse Claire O'Neill. Michael Pike died while clearing a tree in the Ballybrotto area. Fintan Goss' right car was struck by a tree, killing Himmr Pike, of Ardfinnan, Co. Tipperary, died. while clearing a fallen tree in the Ballybrotto area near Cathier. He was hit by a falling branch and died at the scene. It's understood he went to cut up a tree that fell on a road near his home. Married father Oftwo Mr. Goss was killed when a tree fell on his car as he travelled home. He was the brother of Colin, a former Louth footballer, who ran for Fine Gael in the 2014 elections for Dundalk Carlingford. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Theresa May spoke to Irish counterpart Leo Varadkar yesterday afternoon to offer support to affected areas. A Downing Street spokesman said on Storm Ophelia, the Prime Minister expressed her sympathies for the loss of life and said the UK government stood ready to provide any support if requested. Michael Owen's goal in his back garden has been crushed by a tree blown over in high winds during Ophelia. The former England footballer tweeted a photograph of the broken goal after a tree trunk was split in half by the gusts. Owen, 37, now a football pundit and racehorse owner, said assessing the damage to our goal this morning. The goal was in a mangled heap in the picture believed to have been taken at his home in Northorpe, North Wales. Former England striker Michael Owen tweeted a photograph of the broken goal after a tree trunk was split in half by the gusts.